Hello, and a huge welcome to everybody who has found us any place around the world, locally, on YouTube. I want to say hey in Swedish or in Yataho in Navajo. There are so many ways of saying welcome, but I want you to feel the welcoming from my heart to yours. And even though I'm not seeing you with my eyes, I'm actually feeling the connection that we have right now. So I encourage you, I invite you to take this half hour, and there's a wonderful Buddhist saying that says, no place to go, nothing to do. So let's be present with each other. If this program is boring or over the top or whatever, turn the channel or turn it off. It's not about selling something, an idea. The whole idea with the luminosity is about shining a light on maybe a new idea, a new perspective, and just being able to share those together without the thought of judging maybe how we're feeling about it, or it's just information. That's all it is. It's a perspective. My perspective is different from yours, but we can share perspectives. I will have a website that you'll see, or I think you probably saw in the titles coming in. There'll be a website if you'd like to send comments on what you liked, what you disliked, maybe even something that's really relevant for you right now. Because it's relevant for you, it's probably relevant for a lot of people. So huge shout out to SEC TV, to Matt Wildman, who is my technical. I don't know what I would do without him. He's set everything up. And the nice thing is he never speaks down to me like you should understand that. It's just, this is my job, this is your job, and there's a wonderful working relationship, so I feel wonderful. So why am I so grateful? I've been a therapist for over 40 years, and it doesn't feel that way, but it's true. I still think I'm 30. I'm not. I'm 76, actually. I think I'm 17 on the inside, so I think that's probably a good balance. Maybe I'm somewhere in between, actually. Doesn't matter how old I am. There's a wonderful, wonderful book called The Invitation, and it's by a woman whose name is, let me get it for a second, Oriah Mountain Dreamer. And if I've said her name wrong, I will correct it next time. And in the beginning of her book, called The Invitation, she says, I invite you to come in. I don't care what school you went to. I don't care what your cultural background is, what your ethnicity is. I don't care what moon crosses your stars astrologically. What I care about is, can you get up the morning after a rough night and face the day with me? Can you share your most precious thoughts with me? Can I share mine with you? And basically the book is about how we go through our days of knowing we have choices. Days are pretty rough sometimes. Nights are pretty rough sometimes. But what are the choices we have? Today's program is going to talk about resilience. But before I get into that, I want to say a little bit about why you should even watch us. And I say us because it's taking a little bit of a tribe to put this together. And I believe that none of my material is original. Look at Socrates, what he taught us. We're still learning from Socrates. So excuse me if I go to my computer every now and then, because this is new for me. I'll get better at it, so I won't need all of the extra curricular stuff here. But our goal, I'd like to read to you, if I may, to offer the most high quality, timely, and this is very important, researched and ethical support based on the compassionate fact that here and in every corner of the universe, we are all in this together. Our researched information and current needs of both communities and individuals will be presented, again, based on what we're feeling are the biggest needs in the moment. Right now, one of the biggest needs is people coming back, bouncing back from 2.5, 3 years, it's ongoing a little bit still, of the pandemic we all experienced together. We'll be offering wellness talks like this one this morning, but we'll also be offering interviews with some of the most fascinating people. I've already tried to get one lined up for our next show, who is in our justice system. And I met him just by happen chance at Muddy Waters in New London. And he said, I would love to come on your show. He said, I will blow the show out of the water. That's the kind of person we want. Somebody who's thrilled with what they're doing. We know that everybody has a story. So I've talked to restaurateurs, I've talked to staff in restaurants and said, would you be interested in sharing a little bit about why you're doing this? What does it bring to you? I'm going to give a little shout out to S&P Oyster Restaurant, who has, I think, about the best staff, some of the best food I've ever had. But I said, what is the secret to why everybody seems to be so welcoming? And they said, we know when we are interviewing somebody how they're going to be with the public. Yes, we train them, but some of it has to be coming from the heart. And that's how I feel with this restaurant. So this program's going to be coming from the heart to you. And I know that heart vibrations can reach each other across the world. There is a wonderful institute called the Heart Math Institute. I really would recommend anybody look them up. They have got some of the most current information on how our hearts talk to the rest of our bodies. It used to be that we thought our brain was the epicenter of our whole being, that it gave all the instructions to what had to happen. And it's true that our brain does give instructions so that our heart, we don't have to think about, oh my gosh, is my heart pumping or are my lungs breathing? But in truth, what research has found is that 20% of our information goes from our head down to the rest of our body, all the little cells in our body, and 80% comes from our heart up. So when they say, go with your gut or go with your heart, that's an old wives' tale, people think. Actually, Heart Math Institute is proving that's for real. So, you know what our goal is, and I also want to say, not from an ego point, but when I did my master's in social work, there's a lot of time spent on ethics of social workers, and our ethics are to work with a person in a strengths perspective. So we have somebody coming into us who may have a horrible situation going on in their family, or domestic violence, or just a meltdown of, I don't belong anymore. Any number of things could happen. And the beauty that I found and why I chose social work as a beginning and then energy perspectives came in a little bit later, but I combined the two because I feel it's the best of both worlds. So there's an allopathic, which is considered traditional medicine, and there's homeopathic, which looks at the whole person and goes from there. So I'd like to consider my practice has been an integrative wellness practitioner. I don't call myself a healer. I believe each one of us has our healing in ourselves. But I can be a guide. You can be a guide to somebody else. You can be a guide for yourself in maybe saying, I believe in the allopathic, I believe in the homeopathic and the allopathic, but let me use both to get the best of both worlds from my healing. I would never say use just one or the other. Okay, so we've got 196 countries, I looked it up, and we all experienced the same emotions. So that's why I've chosen resilience today to talk to you about, because there was a silver lining, and there still is a silver lining with the pandemic that may crop up again. So we need our resilience built in. It's not something we just reach out for all of a sudden and hope it's there. No, we have to build it in. It's like a car battery. If you don't keep your car battery charged, guess what? Your motor's not going to start when you need it. So anyway, going back to the resilience piece, we know going into every situation that every individual has certain strengths. And my social work background said, go to those strengths first. We're not going to zero in on the weaknesses. Yes, we're going to help support those, but let's go to what a person's strengths are first. So that's what resilience is all about. And let me just go down a little bit. So why do I say we were all in this together, and why is that a silver lining? Well, at one point I remember watching television and seeing there were two buildings, I think it was in Spain, and people were out on their balconies, people who never saw each other again or maybe bumped into each other at the fish market or the vegetable market, and they were singing to each other. And my heart just felt so warmed. And even walking in the grocery store with masks on, you could actually see people's eyes smiling at you. But we all experienced loss. We all experienced grief. We experienced fear. Oh my God, did I touch something in the grocery store that I shouldn't have touched? Is somebody too close to me? Did I wash my hands enough? Is it okay for me to visit so-and-so because they have a compromised immunity? Everybody who spoke any language in any culture experienced this. So if there wasn't proof that we are all one, there is proof now. So that's the silver lining, and that's why I believe the goal of this program is going to reach out to everybody, okay? That's my goal. And that's, again, why I'm thankful for this platform. I'm not going to be a talking head every time. I'm going to look at my website, which I'm delighted to have. It's just getting started, so it'll be a little void right now. But you can type in some of your suggestions or how you related to the show, or just soak in what you want from the show and let the rest go. I kind of like that. Soak in from the show what you want and let the rest go. So Each program will have a different theme. Today's, as I mentioned, is resilience. We may have a theme of parenting. What did I do wrong as a parent? We all have had that feeling, every parent. And but we're going to focus on what you did right. We can deal with what you did wrong. And I think one of my biggest things that I've learned from study in Buddhism for the past 10 years has been learning not to judge myself so harshly. I grew up with a very judgmental family, and I'm not blaming them because they were handed down a lot of judgment from their parents and grandparents, and so we continue rolling that snowball until somebody says, I'm not doing this anymore. So let's take a look at that together. And what I want to introduce today is something very, very simple. And to also stress, we have a choice in how we react to any situation. I know that's putting a lot of responsibility on us, and maybe sometimes for me, I don't want that responsibility. I want to go to somebody and say, here's my problem, fix it. It doesn't work like that. Well, it can, but then you give away your own power. So I'm going to suggest two things. One is that we as individuals have more choices than we realize, and we're going to talk about that, and I'm going to show something about that today. Something very, very simple and something that can be with you 24/7, and that's tapping. And we're going to talk more about later on about EFT, but I want to just give that to you as something very practical right now. So we have a choice about our inner narratives, and I'll try to give you an example. So somebody may have spoken very, very curtly to me, and I'm getting a heads up to look at the camera, so I'm going to look at the camera instead of myself. So again, forgive us. And I'm not going to judge myself for not doing it right. I'm just going to say I'm learning how to do it better. Okay, so that's a good example. I don't need to search any further. But when we stop judging ourselves, there is okay, so picture somebody judging you. You didn't do it right. You didn't do enough of it. You could have done it better. All of those things that people can say to us, but we have all of that in our heads also. So right now, I can get off this TV show and I can say, oh, great, you looked in the wrong place for 35 minutes or 30 minutes. Or I can laugh at it and I can say, well, actually, I don't think anybody really, really emphasized look in the camera. I thought I was looking in the right place. That's what I mean by not judging yourself. When we let go of self-judgment, and we can only do that by becoming aware of it. So I'm going to toss something right out here that just has to come in, and forgive me if I jumped. But I like the ABCs. I used to teach a course at Sacred Heart. I opened up a pilot program. That was about awareness, belonging, and connection. So now I'm told I've got 10 minutes, so we're going to get into this right away. Okay, guys? So we're going to talk about tapping. And when we have awareness of how we're feeling, we can actually start to do something with that. So let's say I'm aware that I'm a little nervous being on this show for the first time. That's the truth. So what do I do about it? That's the awareness piece. I can't do anything until I have that awareness, okay? If I'm off in 6 different directions helping other people, I'm actually not aware of myself and my own feelings. So then B is belonging, knowing that what I'm feeling is what other people around the world are feeling. We're all connected with our feelings, okay? They may not be feeling exactly the way I'm feeling, but I can be compassionate with myself and say, this is a feeling that other people share with me. I didn't just dream it up. I'm not a bad guy for I feel it. It's a shared emotion. So what's the C? The C is connecting with help, connecting with myself. And I often like to do this. If something is really overwhelming, here's something you can do that I do a lot of. I put my hand on my heart and I say, even though I am feeling really judged by somebody else right now, I trust my feelings and I honor my feelings. So that's a good lead into tapping. And we're going to go through the tapping points. The first one is the side. And tapping is also called EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique. Isn't that a nice title? Emotional freedom. And ladies, gentlemen, children, everybody watching, anybody of any race and ethnicity, any religion, any sexual orientation, this is for all of us, okay? So I'm going to show you the tapping points. The first is the side of the hand. Second is the top of the head. Some of this might look weird to you, but it is actually approved by the American Psychological Association and the American Medical Association, AMA and APA, as a very valid technique for reducing stress and actually releasing stress from the body. So, as silly as it looks, I'm going to start with the side of my hand, then I'm going to go to the top of my head, then I'm going to go to the side of my eyes, under my nose, under my chin. Here's a funny one, about 4 inches down under your armpit, and then on your collarbone, right around here. And I do a wide swath here to get the whole thing. So what is that all about? What is that all about? Well, science has found that by tapping gently, we're actually sending messages to our brain to say, it's okay to relax. Because our brain in tense situations wants to go to fight, flight, or freeze. And those might be okay if somebody's chasing you down a dark alley, but if you overdrew your checkbook and you go into freeze, your brain isn't going to be available. That part of your brain isn't going to be available to problem solve. So let's say you overdrew your checkbook. That's happened to all of us. I'm sorry, I've done it more than I'd like to announce, but so say you overdrew it. When you go into fight, flight, or freeze, the problem-solving part of your brain that says, hey, how about not judging ourselves for it, because that's actually not going to help. How about calling the bank and saying, I did this, how can we transfer some money into another account? So right away, our brain is opened up for a whole new possibility. So I'm going to walk you through this. I just overdrew my checkbook. Actually, I did. I'm a little bit, I add numbers where they shouldn't be and don't put enough zeros where they should be. I forgot that's what that's called, but I'm glad I forgot, but I'm going to try not to judge myself. So here we go. I've just been aware that I've done that. I'm feeling terrible about myself, but the first thing I'm going to try to do is say, all right, this is a problem that happens to people all over the world. Judging yourself is actually not going to help solve the problem, right? So I'm going to start. Even though I feel terrible that I just overdrew my checking account, I honor my feelings. Even though I just overdrew my checking account and my stomach is doing flip-flops because I'm so upset, I honor my feelings. I'm going to stop for 1 second here because many of us as children and young adults, our feelings were not honored. And what do we mean by honoring feelings? Somebody listening, actually, and saying, I want to listen to you and hold space for you with that problem. I don't know that I can solve it, but that's usually not important, is it, when we have a problem? It's having somebody listen, giving us space. So that's what we do. I'm going to honor my feelings. Then I'm going to repeat that and say, oh, this checkbook problem, it's giving my stomach the flip-flops. I'm judging myself. Side of the eyes. This problem is really bothering me. It's giving my stomach flip-flops, and I do it too much. Oh, I do this too much, and I'm judging myself, and my stomach is actually doing flip-flops under the chin. Same thing. I wish I didn't overdraw my checkbook. I feel terrible. And tapping here. I really feel bad that I did this, and I wish I wouldn't do this as often as I do. So, and we're going to do one more round. Even though I did this canceling of my checkbook or overdrawing my checkbook, I'm starting to think that I'm not such a bad person for having done that. So many people can overdraw their checkbooks, and I'm looking at a whole new way of looking at this. Maybe I'm not a bad person. Maybe I'm not stupid for having done that. Maybe I was just too busy and didn't think it through well enough. I'm starting to think there's a whole new way. And now my stomach is starting to relax. My shoulders are starting to relax. Every part of my body is starting to relax. A whole new way is open to me. So that's a little tiny segment of EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, and I'm going to get into that a little bit more in detail with some other relaxation responses. All you have to do is this part, and you're going to see some changes. You're going to be able to feel, I hope, a difference from the stress reaction into the relax reaction. So I know I have only a minute left of this wonderful, wonderful time with you. I want to say thank you to each one of you for tuning in, and I'm looking forward to sharing vibration with you, heart vibration. And I want to read one thing before I go. It's by a poet called Mark Nepo. Let no one keep you from your journey. No rabbi or priest, no mother who wants you to dig for treasure she misplaced. No father who won't let one life be enough. No lover who measures their worth by what you might give up. No voice that tells you in the night it can't be done. Let nothing dissuade you from seeing what you see, or feeling the winds that make you want to dance alone, or go where no one has yet to go. You are the only explorer. Your heart, the unreadable compass. Your soul, the shore of a promise, too great to be ignored. Aho to everybody, and something to work on this week. When you feel self-judgment coming in, give yourself a hug and say, I can let go of that judgment and problem solve without it. Aho. Nice to be with you.